This is Kanji in Danzanru Jiu-Jitsu. I'm your host, George Arrington. In part 6, we're going to look at techniques 20 through 25 of the Oku No Te. This is a picture of a Japanese scroll or makimono. In this scroll, a majority of the techniques from Danzanru Jiu-Jitsu are listed. They are called a catalog or a mokuroku of the system. Here's a picture from that scroll that contains the Oku No Te techniques. In this video, we'll be looking at these techniques. So the first technique we'll look at is number 20, Arashi Otoshi. And here's the picture from the scroll. The printed characters, more readable characters, would look like this. And the first character is Arashi, Arashi. And this means rough or laid waste. And then Otoshi is a word which means to drop or to fall. And we've seen this in other techniques before. Now this word Arashi also has another form that we have seen in the Nage video that looks like this. And this is the kanji that was used by Shiro Saigo for his famous Yama Arashi technique. Although in the Danzanru system, we use the previous kanji for Yama Arashi. And as we saw before, this is a picture of a statue memorializing Shiro Saigo and his famous Yama Arashi. Now the word Otoshi can also be pronounced Ochiru, Ochiru, to fall or to drop. And this way of saying this kanji has an interesting application in the Japanese language. There is a phrase that looks like this. And what it says is Saru mo ki kara ochiru, or saru, which means a monkey. Mo means also, or included in that, means basically also. Ki is the word for a tree. The term here, kara, means from or out of. And then we have the kanji ochiru, and we put the hiragana after it to specify that it's ochiru and not otoshi. So the way this is read is saru mo ki kara ochiru, and the phrase is translated as even monkeys fall out of trees. So here are the brush strokes for Arashi Otoshi. Let me turn on my laser pointer here, and we'll look at how these are done. So Arashi, and we've done this one before, but let's take a look at it. It starts here and goes across this way, and then 2 and 3 are like that. 4 is this little tick mark here. 5 goes like that. Sometimes, by the way, this 4 and 5 are called a pot lid. 6 comes down here and curves around, and then we have the bottom part, which indicates a stream, and that's 7, 8, and 9 with a little hook coming up like that. And then Otoshi also has this top part. By the way, this top part is the symbol for grass. So it comes across 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. This also means water. These 3 characters or these 3 marks mean water. This is the radical for this one. 1, 2, and then 3 that, or I should say 4, 5, 6, and 6 goes upward, whereas these come down. 7 goes like that. 8 comes across, and then 9, and then a little mouth on the bottom, 10, 11, 12. Whenever you see this kind of box character, that is the character for mouth. Technique number 21, Hiki Otoshi. So there's the picture from the scroll. Here are the print characters. And so the Otoshi we've seen before, but now we have this new character, Hiki. Hiki means to pull, and Otoshi means to drop or to fall. We'll just say drop in this case. Taken together, these two characters mean, when you say Hiki Otoshi, it means to pull something down. Most often you see this term in sumo, where they say, there's a technique in sumo where you actually pull the person, pull your opponent down on the ground. And so that Hiki Otoshi is a pulling drop, or just pulling the opponent down. Now there's another interesting application of this term, Hiki Otoshi. If you have a debit card and you have automatic withdrawals for your gas bill or something, that's also called Hiki Otoshi. An automatic debit from a bank account is called Hiki Otoshi. So here are the brush strokes. Now let's take a look first at Hiki here. Now turn on the laser pointer, and notice this one. You go 1 comes over and down, and then 2 you come back from the left to the right, and then 3 is a long stroke. It goes down to the right, down, and then with a little kick upwards. And then you finish the character by coming up to the top and coming straight down. So that's Hiki. And then the Otoshi character is the same as we saw before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, 6 goes upward. 7, 8, 9, and then the little mouth here, 10, 11, 12. This, by the way, this mouth character is something that you see all the time in kanji, so it's a good one to practice. In fact, some people will write this with just 2 strokes. They'll go here and then go over, back, and down, like across like that, and so it's done very quickly. So you'll see it. It almost looks like an American or English R character, but that's a character for mouth right there. That little piece of it. Okay, the next technique is called Kine Katsugi. Kine Katsugi. And here's the picture from the scroll. And then if you wanted a printed version of that, it would look like this. Kine Katsugi. So kine means a wooden pestle or a wooden pounding implement, something that you would use to pound something. A small wooden pestle would be something that you would grind up something into powder, and a larger wooden pestle would be something that you would pound stakes into the ground. And then katsugi. Now this is an interesting character, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. Katsugi means to carry or to bear. In fact, the term for Christ carrying the cross, you would say katsugi. So bearing on your shoulders is katsugi. So here is a picture of a Japanese wooden pestle, something you would hold up. Maybe this is 4 or 5 feet long, and you would use it to pound something into the ground. Now, one interesting thing about this is that when people look up at the sky and look at, for instance, the moon, One in the Western culture, people see a face in the moon, but in the Eastern culture, in the Asian culture, they looked up and they saw a rabbit, and the rabbit was holding a pestle, and this is memorialized in a plate that looks like this, and this shows the rabbit with the pestle in their hands. Now, this term Katsugi, the one that's on the scroll, is an uncommon character. It's one that has quite a few strokes in it, and in the reformation of the Japanese language was one of the characters that was simplified. And here's the simplification of it. You see, it has much fewer characters, and this is also pronounced Katsugi. And if you look it up in a Japanese dictionary, it will say that this means shouldering, bearing something on your shoulders. So that is the modern character, although in the scroll, the more or the older character was used. So let's take a look at the brushstrokes of this. We'll turn on the laser pointer and look at this. So the left side of this character for kine, this is the character for tree, something that's wooden or something that's oftentimes a tree or a bush. Will use this radical for that, the ki radical or the moku radical, and so it means tree. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this part goes 5, 6, then you do the horizontal stroke first, 7, and then 8 goes down like that. So that's kine, and that means the wooden pestle or wooden pounder. So now let's look at this rather complicated character, and this is katsugi, or to bear up on one's shoulders, to carry on your shoulders. And so it goes like this: 1, 2 with a little kick at the bottom, 3. This left side means hand. This means hand. Okay, 4 and 5. Then 6 comes down like so first, and then the 7 comes across like that. So it goes, just let's go back up here to 4. 4, 5, 6, and then 7. Then 8 and 9, like so. And then the remaining part of this character, that by itself, that's a character for word or kotoba. But let's see how that's written. So it would go like this: 10, 11, 12, 13, and then you put a little mouth on the bottom, 14, 15, and 16. So that whole character is katsugi. And like you saw in the previous picture, there is a simplified version of that. In fact, this character, if you look it up in a dictionary, this is rather difficult to find. So so that's how that's written. All right, so the next technique, number 23 in the Oku list, is traditionally given the name Kin Katsugi. Kin Katsugi. Now, I put a question mark there because we're going to see some questions about how this should be pronounced. So it is listed as Kin Katsugi on the boards in the dojo, but we may question as to how it really should be pronounced. But let's take a look. So here's the printed version of that. The katsugi is the same as the previous one, and the this kin character is a rather complicated character. So let's see how that plays out. So this says ko. So this character is not pronounced kin, it's pronounced ko with a long O sound. And what it means is testicles. This is the term for testicles. And then katsugi is to carry or to bear or to shoulder something. Okay, so now this term for testicles is usually it's not just this character. I'll turn on the laser pointer here. It's usually not this character alone. Instead, what we have are these two characters put together like this. And this is read as ko and then gan, kogan, meaning testicles. But the term for testicles could also be written this way, and that's pronounced kintama, kintama. Kin means gold, and tama or dama, sometimes said kindama or kintama. This can mean a ball or a jewel, and so that's so the golden balls or the golden jewels is another way to say testicles. So what my suspicion is that this kin is what the kin is in this term. So that's what the name actually means. So now let's look at the brush strokes. So this one is a relatively complicated character. It starts with this little tick mark at the top, and then it has a box, but it has two vertical lines on the inside. So it goes 1, 2, the top of the box is 3, 4 and 5 are drawn first, and then the base of that box is drawn as stroke 6. Now the next portion of the middle here is the character for ground, and it goes 7, 8, and then 9. So this is different than you might expect. It goes 7, the horizontal stroke, the short vertical stroke, and then the base stroke 9 there. And then the bottom part, 10, 11, 12, 13, the horizontal stroke, and then the final stroke is 14, which is the vertical stroke. Okay, and then the character for katsugi we saw before. We'll go over that real quickly here. 1, 2, 3. Then 4, 5. The 6 is this part here. Don't forget that. 7 is the horizontal stroke. 8, 9, and then the remainder is the kanji for word or kotoba. So it goes 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 16. And in the previous technique, I mentioned that when people write this quickly, it looks like the letter R. And if you look over here, there you see it as like that. And so when people write it quickly, it kind of ends up being, they kind of bring this stroke 15 and come over to here and then make the character go straight out. So it kind of looks like an R character. All right, technique number 24 is kazaguruma. Kazaguruma. There's the picture from the scroll. Here's the printed version. And we have kaza, kaza. Kaza means the wind. Kaza means the wind. And guruma or kuruma is the word for wheel, but it can also mean car. So if you're talking about your automobile, you would use the term kuruma. So that is kaza guruma. Now, taken together, these two characters mean a windmill or a pinwheel. So that's what they look like. Now, an interesting thing about this particular character, kaza, or is typically, this is the, when you talk about the wind, you don't say kaza, you say kaze, as in for instance, the divine wind or the kamikaze. Kaze means the wind, but when you combine it and specifically as a prefix to a term, in this case kazaguruma, you use za as opposed to ze. So here it's kazaguruma instead of kazeguruma. So we want to be careful about that. So let's look at the brush strokes of kazaguruma. So for the first stroke, you come down like this. That's stroke number 1, and then stroke number 2 comes across and then down and curves outward with a little kick at the top. So this is an enclosure for the remainder of the character. Then stroke 3 comes down, and then the next three strokes are the little box on the inside. 4, 5, 6, and then you draw the 7th character, the vertical line through the box like that. 8 comes up at a slight angle, and then 9 comes down and is almost perpendicular to stroke 8. Then the character kuruma, or wheel or car, is done as follows. You go 1, then you draw a box with a horizontal line through it. 2, 3, 4, 5, and that character right there in the center is the character for sun. And then you go 6, which is a horizontal stroke, and once all of that is done, you come down through the center with the vertical line. So that means a wheel or automobile. And then the final technique in the Oku list is this technique called Jigoku Otoshi. Jigoku Otoshi. Some places you might see it written with a G instead of a J. That's not actually the way it should be written, and so sometimes people will call it Gigoku Otoshi, which is not correct. So this is Jigoku Otoshi, and here are the printed characters. So G by itself. Now that's the character, or that's the hiragana for she, with the voiced symbol there. It's G, and what that means is the earth. And then the next character is Goku, Goku, and what that means is prison. And then, as we've seen several times before, Otoshi means to drop or fall. Now, what is this earth prison business? Well, taken together, Jigoku is the word for hell or Hades. So sometimes this technique is called the hell drop throw, and the way it's executed, where you pick somebody up on your shoulders and spin them around, sometimes it's called the airplane spin, similar to the technique seen in professional wrestling. But anyway, this technique, the hell drop throw. Now, as a kind of as an aside, there back in the 60s and 70s, particularly in Southern California, they taught a technique called hell drop throw that was basically an ogoshi throw that was very, very violent, and so this one is different from that. So if you're from the Southern California LA Penmar tradition, you may have seen something called hell drop throw that's completely different from this technique. Anyway, all that aside. So here are the strokes for Jigoku Otoshi. The first character, G, or Earth, goes 1, 2, 3. Then the fourth stroke is this one here that goes across, up, and down like so. 5 is this character, or this stroke, and then 6 is this one that comes down like that. So this may be a little counterintuitive to you. So let's look at that last part. Well, let's look at the whole character. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 comes up like that. Now Goku, this is a pretty complicated character. It starts off, 1 goes like that, then 2, then 3, and then this middle part you may recognize as the character for word, kotoba, that we'd seen in a couple of other ones, and that one's written 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the mouth 8, 9, 10, and then the right side here is 11, 12, 13, and then 14 is this little tick mark up here. And then Otoshi we have seen before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember 6 goes upwards. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And so that's Jigoku Otoshi. Much of this information is taken from my book Mokoroku and Kaiden Sho, the official documents of Danzanryu Jujutsu. In this book I translated several of the scrolls as well as some other key documents from the system. And this is available at Amazon.com, so I hope you can pick up a copy of this. And then the other book that I think you will find very useful is Danzanryu Essentials. This is a good overview of the system. It's kind of a quick reference guide to the whole system. A lot of the information that you need to have at a moment's notice is found in this book. Again, that's also available at Amazon.com. Well, I thank you for watching, and I just wanted to let you know that this is not the end of the Oku series. There will be a further video after this that is kind of a recap of the Oku boards. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that one. Thanks again.